Hello everyone, this is the Pastor Chef and I have a new video for you. And the new video that I'd like to share is, which is better, brine versus no brine? Now the first thing that I did is I went to the store and I found a couple of Boston butts that were about the same size and about the same weight. I think one was just a little heavier than the other. And I decided to do a test. I wanted to see which one is better. Is it going to be one that is brined for about 10 hours or so, or is it going to be one that is not brined at all and just cooked? Now I'm going to season exactly the same with the same spices, the same rubs. The only difference between the two will be that one is brined and one is not. So the first thing I want us to see is the brine that I used. Okay, for the brine, I used 1/2 gallon of water. I used 1 cup of kosher salt. Kosher salt to me is just better. 2/3 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup of orange juice, 1 cup of apple juice, and 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, and 3 cloves of garlic. Now you see in the picture there may be a few more there, but I cut them in half. So I just want us to see what the brine was. And now for the brine, I put the pork shoulder in the brine for at least 10 hours. And that's basically overnight for me. So I put it in there and I let it set for 10 hours, removed it, washed it very, very well, and then patted it dry. Now here are the two shoulders side by side. Now if you look real close, well, you don't really have to look close, but the one on the left is the brined, and the one on the right is one that is not brined. I think you can tell quite easily which one was brined and which one was not. Now, the brine one has a kind of a ugly gray looking color to it. It's not very appealing looking, but you see the one on the right has a nice lush red color. But the one on the left just has a really like I created something in the lab. So that's what we got going so far. Now I took salt and pepper and garlic and coated both of them very well, and then I took some their Kingsford original rub and just put it all over each one of these butts, and you can already see the one that is brined is not soaking in as much as the one that isn't. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to place each one of the shoulders uncovered in my Pitboss smoker at 225 degrees, and every hour I'm going to come out and I'm going to check each one and see if there's any difference between the two as they're cooking. And every hour I'm also going to take a spritz bottle and I'm going to spray each one of them down, keep them moist on the outside. So we're going to take a look, and I'm going to come and put these on the grill, and then in about an hour I'm going to come back and check them. Okay, it has been 1 hour. I'm going to open up our grill here and see what it looks like. Now just on the onset here you can look at both of them, and what I can tell, it is very minute, but look at the one that's unbrined, and that is the one on the right. It is a little darker in color. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. Spritzer bottle. I forgot to tell you what's in that. One of the things that I want to tell you that I've used to spray these Boston butts down with is a little spray bottle, and I've got 1 part water, 1 part apple juice, and 1 part apple cider vinegar. So that's what I'm using to spray these down to keep them moist. So I'm going to take my little spray bottle here and just give it a little spritz. But you'll notice the butt on the right that is not brined, to me, has a darker, deeper color than the one on the left, which is the brine one. I want us to keep an eye on that as we continue on looking at the next couple of hours to see really what happens with the crust on it, because really what makes the barbecue good is the good crust on the outside. So that's kind of what I'm seeing thus far. Now this is the second hour, we're going to take a look and see. We're looking at it, and really just by looking at it again, one thing that I noticed about the brine one on the left, it doesn't seem to be, the rub doesn't seem to be penetrating the meat quite as much as the one that is not brine. You'll notice there's a darker red color, and it's not as, I hate to use the word crusty, but it kind of looks crusty on the outside with the brine one. But look how nice and dark and red the one that is not brine looks. So by appearance right now, the one that is not brine kind of has my vote. So let's give it a little spritz again. Spray these suckers down and get it nice and moist on the top. But look how pretty the color is really on both. They both look pretty good when I spritz them down just a little bit. So just an amazing red color really on both, but you could see the one that's not brine just looks better right now. Okay, we're looking at the 3rd hour. So let's take a look and see what everything's looking like. Oh, they're starting to really get some nice color. And once again, if you can notice that in the video, I don't know if you can or not, but look at the difference in the texture on the top. You'll see that it's a deep red color on the one that's not brine there, and then look at the one that is and see the difference between the two. Just you can see a minute difference, but you can see a little bit of difference in the smoothness, I guess you could say, on the top of the meat. I would eat either one of them. I mean, they both look delicious. But to me, just looking at them, the one that's not brine just has a prettier color. It looks like it's browning a little bit better. So let me give it a little bit of spritz. Give it some spraying down there. And it's amazing how much better and beautiful it looks once you give it a little spritz to get it moist again. But they're both beautiful. Now, all right, we're looking at another hour. And we'll see how things are looking. Oh, look, there's some beans in there. Where'd they come from? Look at the dark color that we're getting on both of them now. They're starting to look pretty good. And they're really making some beautiful bark that's coming on the outside of it. And probably in the very near future, I'm going to be wrapping these up and letting them cook for the remainder of the time, just to get them a little tender. But you can still see there's a little bit of a difference between the one that's not brine there on the right, and on the left we have the one that is. And I got my baked beans going right there too. So we'll have a little few baked beans going. Smoked baked beans, if you never tried them, try them sometime. But that's kind of what they look like now. I'm going to give them another spritz. Kind of get them nice and moist again on the top. And give them that beautiful red color. In fact, that is just a beautiful color. I'm going to spray them down real good. And then after I let them cook a little bit longer, then I'm going to wrap them. And then we'll take a look at them. Beauty. All right, another hour. And we're going to take a look. These guys are ready to wrap now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get me some aluminum foil. I'm going to wrap them, and I'm going to put just a little bit of apple juice in the bottom of each of the foil, and I'm going to let them cook for a while. Now I've let them cook for probably about 2 hours, and just look at them. They're beauties. See, the bone is well exposed on the one that's not brine, and you can see the bone on the one that is. But it's just a beautiful red color. You see a lot more juice, however, in the one that is not brine in the bottom. Now, it might have been I put a little more apple juice than I did in the one that was brine, but you'll notice one that is brine doesn't have as much fat juice or apple juice in the bottom. So let's take these off the grill and let's just put them side by side and see what they look like. All right, here's both of them. You'll see the bone is sticking out of both of them pretty well. And from what I can tell, and just taking them off the grill, the one that was not brine was falling all to pieces. It was just super tender. The bone is protruding very well, has a dark color to it. And that is about the way I like my barbecue. It's just tender, dark color, but not black. And you see there's the one that is brined. So let's do a takeaway. What I can get from looking at these two that were cooked, just by looking at it alone, the appearance, I would say the winner is the one that is not brined. The one that is not brined has a better appearance to it. It has a darker color. It has just an overall better look. Now, the one that was brined seemed like it wasn't taking the rub quite as well as the one that was not. So if you want to just look by appearance sakes, we'll say the appearance goes to the one that is not brined. Now, the next thing I want to do is what we call the bone pull test. Basically, when you cook a Boston butt that has a bone in it, one of the things you can do to test for doneness, how well done it is, you can pull the bone just completely out of the Boston butt. When I pulled the bone out of the one that is not brined, it came completely out. It came out smoothly with no problems. However, when I pulled the brined one out, it wouldn't come all the way out. It was a little stuck. I had to take a knife or a fork and just kind of work with it a little bit to pull the bone completely out of there. So on the bone pull test, once again, I'm going to have to go with the not brined one. Now, let's go to tenderness. Once again, when I pulled the one that was not brined, it was falling to pieces in my hand as I was taking it off the grill. That's how tender it was. And the one that was brined was not quite as tender. Now, it was tender, but it was not quite as tender as the one that was not brined. So I once again have to give the tenderness to the one that was not brined. Now, the last section that I want to talk about is flavor. When I tasted the one that was not brined, it had a good smoky taste, had a good flavor, but the one that was brined had a punch to it. It was super strong, like a super big explosion of taste in your mouth. That's how good it was. It had a wonderful taste. And it was very good. So overall, which one did I like better? Well, if I am cooking for a group of people, to make it easier for me, I would not go through the hassle of actually brining the meat. Only if you wanted to add an extra amount of punch flavor, maybe cook a few that were not brined and maybe do one that was and mix it in with it. My choice for brined or not brined in this experiment, I would say I would pick the not brined. 9 times out of 10, I would probably pick the not brined. Now, if I wanted something that just really had a lot of strong taste to it, that really strong pork flavor, I would do the brined. But for a good barbecue all around, just take that barbecue, take that Boston butt, give it some love, put some rub on it, and throw it on the grill and let it cook. That, I believe, is the best way you can have Boston butt. Now, this experiment may be different for you. You may think that the brined is better. But the time that I took to brine it, to get everything together, and to do all of that, I think I could have just put, the rub and everything on it, and it would have been great. So that is just something I came to a conclusion with, and I hope that you get to try this sometime. But this is my humble but honest opinion on which one I think is better, brined or not brined, and I'm going to go with a not brined. So if you've liked this content, be sure to mash like on the like section there and subscribe to my channel. But I hope to have some more experiments like this and that you can check them out very soon. But I'm glad that you were able to watch this video. I pray that you got some good information from it, and may God bless each and every one of you.